Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Friday. It's Daryl here. It's not so bright and early, 6 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. So I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about today. I was thinking about I will talk about the Supreme Court picks Ketanji Brown. People that say there's no sexism or racism in America compare her polite, reserved answers to the way Brett Kavanaugh, his snide juvenile responses. That's for the people who say there's no sexism or racism in America. I'll just let that sit there until I make the video. And I need to go back and revisit Leah Thomas, the trans swimmer. I had a lot of comments, and I'm going to have to make another video to talk about that. But that's not what this video is about. All right. So 2 days ago, I got pulled aside. I rode my bike, as you do a lot. I rode my bike to the store, the grocery store. I locked it up outside. I went inside, and the store manager approached me very nicely. Can I talk to you for a second? You're the gentleman that rides his bike here. And he pulled me aside. I think he even knew my name. I don't know how he knew that, but I'm not sure. I didn't think about that. Anyway, he pulled me aside, and he had a request for me. I don't know if he didn't say if he had gotten complaints or not, but I had gone across the parking lot. I remember this one time. Sometimes I would, there's not a lot of cars, and I'd cut across the parking lot. I would cut in between cars with my bike to go directly to the front door. And so he asked me, he says, and he was really nice about it, the store manager, and he says, people can be funny. He actually said, he says, I got a pain of a request to ask from you. He was very, very easygoing on me. And he said, you know how people are funny with their cars. He says, I got to ask a favor of you. He says, do me a favor and then just stay on the roadways when you come in on the bike. If you could not go in between the cars, the painted spaces, if you just stay on the areas, the roadway areas, that'd be great, because people could be funny about cars and their cars. And I said, and then the first thing I said was, because I was worried. I didn't know if there had actually been somebody complaining. I had never hit a car. If I hit a car, I would definitely stop and say, because if anybody hit my car, I would want them to stop and tell me. I never hit a car, but I wanted to make sure that wasn't the issue. So I said, I'm very careful, So he said, I know you are. He says, but people are funny with their cars. So I said, in the future, just to clarify, in the future, I'll make sure I stay on the roadway. I won't go in between cars. Thank you. Great. And I left. And I thought about this, and I wasn't, it didn't come to my mind to make a video about this until this morning. And I thought about years ago, some of the different ways I could have handled this. For instance, back 30 years ago, when I had a different mindset, there was a time, I've told you guys this before, where I actually considered, God help me, I actually was talking with other people that were going to vote for Trump back in 2015. So I wasn't always the person you see now. I was independent, and an independent voter. And I thought of different ways. A lot of people would become indignant. Well, I'm on a bike. There's no rules. There's nothing posted here. I could go anywhere I want. Or, what if there's not a lot of cars in the parking lot? You're going to tell me that I have to go all the way around on the roadway, even if it's an empty parking lot, and not just go straight to the door, even though, just because I can't go over these painted lines? Is that what you're telling me? That's ridiculous. It's a free country. And I started thinking about that, and I wouldn't even think about doing that now. But there was a time when I might have considered that approach. And there's some people that might have considered that approach. And again, this is about empathy. After I talked to the manager, I put myself in the position. If I were somebody with my car in that parking lot, and I saw me go through the parking lot and go in between two cars, I remember, I'll get to the incident in a second. How would I feel? Honestly, how would I feel if I saw the same guy, my age, my everything, do what I was doing? I'd be nervous. I'd get mad. It would stick in my head. I'd be nervous about it. I would, every time I go back to my car in the future, I would check my car for scratches. And I thought about that, and I was like, this guy's got a point. I could understand, people get nervous when kids ride their bikes around cars, and they don't need an adult doing the same thing. Okay, so there was a specific incident. This just happened a day or two, and I remember a specific incident where I did go between two parked cars, and it was, I knew I could make it. But to people watching, it might have made them nervous. There was about 8 inches on each side, maybe a foot from my handlebars on each side. And I kind of sped right through and went to the door. And, I thought about this. I thought about the excuse, what in the old days, what I would have said. Well, I was in a hurry and I knew I could make it. I'm a good driver, so I decided to go the quickest way. Now, in the back of my head, I know the real reason why I did that day. And I'll tell you guys, there was a time when I wouldn't even admit this to myself. I went that way because I saw there was a couple of women loading their car up with putting groceries in the trunk. And I was trying to get closer to be seen and show off. Hearing myself say that, it's embarrassing, but that's the truth. It's the truth. That's why I went through those cars that day, and it brought me to think about people nowadays, say the truckers going around the Beltway, how they're angry about people flipping them off, or it's their right to block traffic, or vaccination en masse, and I thought about how some people go right away to themselves and their freedom and what they deserve and their rights, and I could do this or that, like I could stand there and argue that if there's no cars in the parking lot, I got every right in the world to go straight to the door. I'm not going to, just because there's painted lines there's no sign, there's no law. But in the truth, if something was asked of me, and I believe in karma too. And it's not just about your rights, it's about, we have to share these parking lots, this land, these countries, this world, this air. It's not just about us. We have to share it with other people. That's a fact. I think we all probably think about living in a bunker, secluded all alone by ourselves, but that's not how human beings were made to work. So we have to share. We have to live in these groups, and we have to consider empathy. We have to think of other people, So when I gave it some thought, it's like, it makes total sense, man. If I had been carrying my groceries out to the parking lot that one day when I did cut awfully close in between cars, and I saw some guy, some big doofus with a weird haircut, cutting through right next to my car, speeding through, I'd be ticked off. I would. I would not like. I would immediately take a dislike to me if I were that person, and that's the honest truth of it. And then there's the actual, being honest with myself. A lot of times, I think, there was a time when I wasn't honest with myself. I wouldn't have admitted the real reason. I was showing off. I was being a showboat. I was being needy, whatever you want to call it. And I know that in my heart. I wasn't trying to get straight to the door. I was in no rush. I wasn't exercising my rights or my freedoms. I was trying to be seen, but I was trying to show off like a teenager on the bike. Look at me. Look how strong I am. That's the truth of it. It's embarrassing, but it's the truth. And when you admit that, in the future, it's not something that's, I'm not proud of doing something like that. It's not something, no good could come of that. It's foolish. People see it for what it is. And, when I admit it to myself and out in public on YouTube like this, in the future, I won't, hopefully, I'll think it through before I do something like that again. Just some thoughts though. So the manager asked me, if you could just stay on the roadways, that'd be great. Even, he didn't say even if there were no cars, but I'm going to go out of my way to honor his request and just do the right thing. What's it going to take me? An extra 20 seconds maybe. And like I said, I believe in karma too. I'm kind of glad he said something, because in the future, I don't want to be at the top of somebody's list when there's a scratch on the car and the first person that comes to mind is the goofy guy on the bike. I don't want to be that guy. So I'm glad it came up. But just some thoughts on empathy. Once I thought about if I were the person watching me, hell yeah, I wouldn't like it. So you guys have a great Friday. I'll be back later with another video.